Welcome to the 3D Ghost universe, a place dedicated to 3D creation and 3D printing. In this video, I will share with you an overview about 3D Builder by Microsoft. This is certainly not the most powerful software, but it's a good software to begin with 3Dimension. If you don't find it on your computer, you just have to launch the Microsoft Store and you will be able to download it for free. In this video, you will learn how to create an object from scratch into 3D Builder, and then you will be able to print it. In order to create an object into 3D Builder, you have to create a new scene, and then you will be able to insert, to add some object meshes that are really geometric. So the first thing that you have to keep in mind is the fact that in 3D Builder, you will play Lego. You will have to add blocks to create a shape. So you will not be able to create, for example, this low poly cat that I already introduced to you in the previous video. It will be complicated because you cannot move the shape of the mesh that you will add. So, for example, if you had a cube, you will not have the possibility to deform this corner. You have to work with the entire cube. So 3D Builder is good for trying, for learning, and for creating a really geometric object. And for example, I will create a quick box by changing the size of this cube. Okay. Now I want to create the inside of the box. So I want to duplicate this object, and I will create an object that I will put inside the box and that I will subtract in order to create hollow. So, for example, we will change the size of the box. It's a little bit smaller everywhere, so I can take, and with the snapping tool, I can put the box really inside. I will use the X-ray view in order to see. Okay, so now if I'm using subtract, it will subtract this object from this object. So I will create like a box, but it will be closed on top. So it will be exactly the same thing that I described in part 1 with the hollow modifier. So what you will have to do is to change the size of the inside object on the Z axis in order to create a hole on the top. Maybe you can change the view. Okay, now if you subtract this object, you will have a box. Very simple, very geometric. So we will now create a geometric object that you will be able to print and to duplicate. For example, creating a little house with a cube that I will deform. Okay, I will add a roof with a pyramid. It's hide inside, you just have to put it on top. Okay, good. Snapping tool is working for you. You can change the size of the roof. Oh, complicated. In order to avoid that, what I will ask you to do is to create a cube, then to create the pyramid, move it on the top, and then you will merge or group the two objects in order to create one object. And then when you will modify the size, it will modify everything. Simple. In order to have this shape more looking like a house, I can add a cylinder. Really big one. So I will lock in order to keep everything. Then I will place it, and maybe now what I can do is changing only the Z axis. Okay, it's more looking like a house, and then I can also create a group, one object, one house. If you want to print it, this is really simple. You just have to export this creation. You can, of course, you can save it as a project, a 3D Builder project with 3MF. That is the classical format for Windows software. We will call that house. We'll put it in a very specific creation right here. And we will have to choose those different formats. For the beginning, you have to stay with STL. Not complicated. It will, an STL file will only take the mesh. It's simple, it's light. It will not take any information about the colors, about the texture, or about the animation if it was an animate object. So we will stay with STL, we will save it, and it will be okay. Everything will be good. Now you will be able to print it, and I will show it to you in another video. But you know what? Finally, I changed my mind. I want to keep everything, the color. So the only thing that I have to do is to export it, to save it one more time. And this time I will save it as maybe a 3MF or an object. Object is good, and I will save it. And now by saving this format, I will be able to open it and into Paint 3D, into Blender, and to have access to the texture and the color of the object. But you know what? Finally, I think that this object is really ugly. So it's now time to go to the Paint option of 3D Builder. And in the Paint option, something very simple is color. I want to change the color. So, as you can see, I can change the color of the meshes that are composing my object. The cube, the cylinder, the pyramid. I only change the roof, the pyramid is okay. Right, so color is changing for the global mesh. But maybe I want to change also the texture, and maybe I want the cylinder to be in marble. So I click on texture. I selected few free texture offered by Microsoft. You can also add a sticker, or maybe you can take a picture of your wall, of your wallpaper, and decided that this will be the texture for your 3D object. You can do that simply by loading a picture. But me, I will stay with the marble ID, and then I will put it on the cylinder. And if I change the coverage, you will see that this texture is applying on faces around the cylinder. I want to cover everything. Okay, it's good. Now I can apply, and I change the texture of the cylinder and the color of the roof. But it's still really ugly, so I will change the material of everything. And now I can decide to add a material simple, realistic, or maybe translucent. Translucent is like maybe you can say water, for example, a golden glass with water. But you can choose a realistic one, and make your object looking like gold, a very glossy gold, or maybe a really matte gold. It's your choice. You can play with that. This is not phenomenal, this is not great, but it could be fun. So now I will apply that, and I will decide that this is this house that I want to save and that I want to paint, maybe in Paint 3D or else. So I will export it, I will save it, and I will save it as a 3MF or an object in order to have access to this texture materials that I add to the object. Yeah, I want to replace it, and now I will save the MTL file. That is the file that will kept the information about the material that I put on the object. It's like a paper wrapping the object. Okay. Now I will be able to have this object into other software like 3D Viewer, Paint 3D, Blender, and Ultimaker Cura in order to print it. But remember, when you will print this house, the color of the house will depend on the color of the material you will use, of the plastic that you will use with your 3D printer, for example. You will not be able to print the gold and shiny. You will only print the shape. The last cool option that you can try into 3D Builder is to take a photo or a PNG and to create a 3D object. It will more look like a stamp, but you can have a cool effect. For example, if I'm loading the draw of a little ghost that I made right here, then we have something. Okay, I will keep the object, I don't care about the texture. Okay, and now, as you can see, I have what is looking like a mesh. So, for example, I can add a cube. I will change the size of the cube. I can take this little ghost. I will add a rotation. Okay. I can move it. Okay, it's snapping on the cube. I will change the size. Okay, right in the middle of the cube, and now I can not snap it, but put it inside and subtract. And then I have a shape in my cube. It's not crazy, but it's cool.